I used to be a bit of a purist as far as reading was concerned. While everybody else around me had started listening to audiobooks and reading ebooks, I was mostly sticking to my faithful paperbacks and hardcovers. I love the smell of a new book, I love the feeling of pages in between my fingers, and I'm sure if you're a book lover like me, you can relate to that. So I resisted getting a Kindle for a long time. And then when I finally got one, I found myself wishing I had given it a chance much sooner. There's no denying that the Kindle has transformed the reading landscape for the better, and in today's video I want to talk a little bit about why I think that is, as well as why you should consider getting one for yourself. So I have the Kindle Paperwhite. This is actually the 7th generation one that came out in 2015. I bought this in 2017, so 6 years later, and it's still going strong. That is a testament to this device's durability and longevity. So let's take a closer look at it. The Kindle Paperwhite is made primarily of a smooth plastic that feels nice in the hand. The plastic can be a bit slippery at times, and it does attract fingerprints, which are a lot more noticeable if you have the black model like I do, which is just something you need to keep in mind. The nice thing though is that you can add a case to it. I've even seen people putting pop sockets on the back for better grip. There is Kindle branding on the front as well as a debossed Amazon logo on the back. On the bottom, we have the charging port. This version of the Paperwhite charges via micro USB, but I know that the newer models have updated to USB-C technology. There's also a charging light as well as the power button, which has a glossy finish. The Kindle has an electronic paper display, which is made up of layers of plastic film. It is touch enabled, feels slightly textured, and uses e-ink technology, which creates an experience that's a lot closer to what you'd get reading from an actual book. It doesn't cause eye strain the way blue light technology on phones and tablets would, and it's also anti-glare, which means that it's great for using in outdoor conditions as well. Another benefit of e-ink displays is that they are very power efficient, which means that the battery life on the Kindle is very good. I have found that I only have to charge this Kindle every couple weeks, or sometimes even once a month at most. To me, the Kindle's portability is one of its main selling points. For comparison's sake, it is slightly heavier and bigger than my phone, which is something that I take almost everywhere with me, and I have no problem doing that. I usually alternate between a tote bag or a fanny pack when I'm on the go, and I have no problem fitting the Kindle into either of those. Now, I'm generally a very careful person, especially when it comes to my tech and devices, but because of the Kindle's durability, I'm not worried about it getting jostled in my bag or suffering the occasional ding here and there. One other feature I wanted to mention, particularly when it comes to the newer models of the Kindle, is that a lot of them are water resistant, which means that they can resist water penetrating them up to a certain point, but not quite to the extent that they can be deemed waterproof. So this means that if you're the type of person who enjoys reading in the bathtub or on the beach, you don't necessarily need to be worried about a little bit of water getting into contact with the device. Now, going back to size comparisons, I also wanted to bring in a few physical books so that you can see that the Kindle actually has a smaller footprint than most, if not all of these. And what's amazing is that because of the internal storage on this device, I can carry all of these and more with me in this small form factor. Which leads us to the next point, which is that the Kindle allows you to take an entire library of books with you wherever you go. My Kindle came with 4 GB of internal storage, and that's on the low end. And after considering the space that's needed for the actual operating system and miscellaneous files, that leaves me with about 2.8 GB of storage that I can use for my books. With a little math, we can see that I can have about 1,400 books stored on my device. Think about that, 1,400 books in the palm of your hand. And think about how much physical space you would need to store that many books. And then with the higher spec models like the Kindle Oasis and the Kindle Scribe, you can go up to, I believe, 64 GB. So I'll leave you to do the math there. Now, maybe you only read a certain amount of books at any given time. I usually alternate between one fiction and one non-fiction title. But it's nice to be able to have an entire collection of books with me wherever I go. I can revisit some of my favorite titles if I wanted to, and I have instant access to new books thanks to the Kindle store. So that removes that buffer of me having to go out to a store to get a physical book or waiting for a physical book that I ordered online. And I found that because of that, I was reading a lot more because I had more options to cater to the type of mood that I was in. Now, in a time where most of us own phones or tablets that we can do lots of different things on, including reading, you might be wondering, why then would I go out and buy a Kindle? And it's a valid question. I know I tend to read a lot on my phone or on my iPad with the Kindle app, but the thing with those devices is that it's very easy to get distracted by apps or other notifications. An email here, a text message there, and before you know it, you've stopped reading and you're scrolling through Twitter or online shopping. Now, because the Kindle wasn't created to do any of those things, I find it a lot easier for me to stay focused and pay attention to what I'm reading without those additional distractions. Another direct benefit of this being a reading specific device is that the user interface is relatively straightforward. Let me show you what I mean. I've set up my Kindle so that when it's asleep, it displays the cover of the book I'm currently reading. If I was reading this book before I put the device to sleep, it'll awake to the exact location where I left off. There's a homepage that shows you a snapshot of your library, Amazon suggestions based on what's popular or what you've been reading, and there's also a dedicated page for your library of books. There's a search bar at the top, and next to that you can see there's an icon of a shopping cart, and that actually takes you to the Kindle store where you can browse for books based on category or the subscription service that you have. You can even read a sample of a book before you pay for it so that you know exactly what it is that you're committing to. Back on the homepage, if you click on this menu icon, you have a few different options, such as accessing your reading lists, Goodreads, Amazon Kids, there's even a web browser, and then there are also a few settings that you can go in and change as well. You can fine-tune your reading experience by choosing from different fonts, font sizes, and layouts, and you can also choose what information is displayed while you read, such as the page number, your progress, as well as how long it's going to take you to finish the book. I tend to hide that information most of the time to create a clean, minimal look, and I can access it if I absolutely need to. You can also adjust the screen's brightness depending on your environment, which is another feature that I love because it means that I can read in bed at night without having any bright lights on. Another great feature of the Kindle is that it supports a number of different file types, which means that apart from books that you might buy on Amazon, you can actually read through PDFs, text files, documents, and thanks to the Kindle's Wi-Fi capability, you actually have the option of sending these to the device wirelessly. With Whispersync, you can seamlessly switch between your Kindle and devices that use the Kindle app. This means that if I've read up to a certain point in a book, I can then switch to my phone and pick up exactly where I left off. Another one of those features that you have is syncing with Goodreads. Because Goodreads is owned by Amazon, you can choose to automatically sync your reading progress once you start a book on your Kindle. Now, reading is more than just a form of entertainment for me because it also helps me to learn, and the Kindle has a few capabilities that make it a little more seamless to do that than with physical books. The first one is its vocabulary builder. When you highlight a word, it gives you the definition of that word and also automatically adds it to a vocabulary database that can be accessed at any time. You can also use flashcards to build up your mastery of these words. Each card will show you how that word was used as well as the source that you got it from. Additionally, there's a Wikipedia lookup feature as well as an option to translate words or phrases into another language. If I was reading a physical book and I wanted to accomplish any of those tasks, I'd more than likely have to get my phone out, type in exactly what it is that I'm looking for, and then risk getting sidetracked. You're also able to quickly save information that you find interesting or noteworthy using Kindle highlights, and you can even make notes on what you've highlighted. Once you've created your notes and highlights, you can revisit them on the Kindle itself or head over to read.amazon.com/notebook where they're automatically collected. I take this one step further by using Readwise, which is a service that allows me to sync my Kindle highlights to a Notion database. Next, I want to briefly touch on some of the subscription services that you can take advantage of with your Kindle. If you have an Amazon Prime subscription, you get the benefit of Prime Reading, which gives you access to books and magazines that you can download at no extra cost. Another benefit that you automatically get with a Prime subscription is Amazon First Reads. Every month, Amazon sends you a selection of new books across popular genres that have been handpicked by their editors. You get to download and read one of these books for free. This has been a great way for me to expand my reading horizons by exposing me to new authors that I hadn't heard of previously. So I really look forward to that First Reads email every month. And then if you wanted, for an extra monthly fee of $9.99, you could get a Kindle Unlimited subscription that gives you access to an even larger selection of titles. So I guess you can think of that as something like Spotify for books. Now, I know that cost is an extremely important factor for a lot of people when considering making any new purchase, so I definitely wanted to talk a little bit about the Kindle's affordability. I would consider the Kindle a budget-friendly device, specifically if we're talking about the lower-end models. As you can see here on this comparison chart, these are all the models that Amazon currently sells. The all-new Kindle is currently priced at $99.99. But like I mentioned before, you'd probably be able to find great deals on used or like new Kindles on sites like eBay. You can also get great deals on the Kindle during Amazon Prime Day or during any sales events that they have throughout the year. Now, I think that for the purpose of reading, you don't need the latest and greatest technology or the highest spec Kindle. The fact that I am more than happy with this one that was released 8 years ago is testament to that fact. Sure, it would be nice having premium features that are available on the Kindle Oasis or the Kindle Scribe, for example, but those are not features that I absolutely need to have, and you might find that you don't need those either. Another point to factor into affordability is that ebooks tend to be less expensive than physical books because there's obviously no printing production that needs to go on. So that's another way that you can save money by going digital. And on top of that, you may not even need to spend money on individual books if you don't want to. If you have a library membership and your library uses services like Libby or Overdrive, you can borrow ebooks and have them sent straight to your Kindle. Now, I wouldn't call these flaws necessarily, but there are some downsides to the Kindle, particularly if you're comparing it to a physical book. Obviously, you're not going to have the same tactile experience of flipping through pages or taking physical notes in the margins, and it is a little cumbersome to go back and forth between chapters, for example. Because this is a digital device, even though it does have a longer battery life, of course, you still need to charge it, so that's another thing that you need to think about. And while I did say that the e-ink display is better for your eyes, it's still a screen at the end of the day. And of course, if you're used to reading on something like a phone or a tablet, you might find that the experience of navigating between screens isn't as snappy as you'd like. But ultimately, for me, the pros of the Kindle far outweigh the cons. So to wrap up, I will say this. If you are someone who just cannot let go of physical books, I'm here to tell you that you don't have to. I know that I probably never will. I don't look to the Kindle as something that needs to replace my physical books. It is something that complements my physical book collection. It's something that complements my reading habits. It reduces the friction between me and my next read because it's easy to use, it's highly convenient, portable, it provides instant access to thousands of books, and it helps me to be fully immersed in whatever I'm reading. It's not trying to be an iPad or a phone, which means that it's a device that I can pick up when I'm ready to disconnect and get lost in a good story or 2 or 3. The Kindle is truly in a league of its own. That's why I love it and why I think you will too. If you enjoyed the video, remember to leave a like and subscribe. Comment to let me know what your preferred method of reading is. Do you have a Kindle or are you thinking of picking one up? And if you're looking for some new books to read, I'd highly recommend checking out a video that I did on 5 free websites that are great for discovering new books. I will have that video somewhere here as well as linked down in the description below. So happy reading, take good care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.